Have you ever known someone who forgives everyone no matter what? Someone hurts them and within days they're acting like nothing happened. They give second chances to people who don't deserve them. They take back people who broke them. And you watch, frustrated because you know they're going to get hurt again. People call them kind, compassionate, too nice. But here's the uncomfortable truth. People who forgive too easily aren't just empathetic. They're often terrified of being alone, desperate to be loved, or convinced they don't deserve better. They're afraid of losing people, even toxic ones. For some people, forgiving isn't about healing. It's about keeping someone around. They know the person hurt them. They know they should walk away. But the thought of being alone feels worse than being mistreated. So they forgive. Not because the apology was genuine, but because losing that connection, even a painful one, terrifies them more than enduring the pain. They'd rather be hurt repeatedly than face the emptiness of having no one. They don't believe they deserve to be treated better. When your self-worth is low, mistreatment starts to feel normal. People who forgive too easily often think this is as good as it gets. They've convinced themselves that everyone will hurt them eventually, so why bother holding boundaries? If they cut people off for bad behavior, they'd have no one left. So they lower their standards. They accept apologies that aren't real. They forgive people who aren't sorry, because deep down, they believe they're not valuable enough to demand respect. They confuse forgiveness with love. Some people think that forgiving someone proves how much they care, that holding grudges makes them petty or unloving, so they forgive prematurely before the hurt has even been processed. They skip over anger, pain, and boundaries and jump straight to forgiveness because that's what good people do, right? But real forgiveness isn't about being nice. It's about healing. And when you forgive someone who hasn't changed, who hasn't earned it, who will hurt you again, you're not being loving. You're being a doormat. They're people pleasers who can't handle conflict. Holding someone accountable means confrontation. It means staying firm when someone's upset with you. It means risking that person walking away. And for chronic people pleasers, that's unbearable. So they forgive to avoid the discomfort. They apologize even when they're the one who was wronged. They smooth things over because tension makes them anxious. Forgiving isn't about compassion for them. It's about keeping the peace. And they'll sacrifice their own dignity just to make sure no one's mad at them. They've been conditioned to forgive without receiving apologies. Some people forgive easily because that's what they learned growing up. Maybe they had parents who never apologized but expected forgiveness anyway. Maybe they were taught that holding grudges is wrong, that you should always be the bigger person. So now, as adults, they forgive automatically, even when there's no apology, even when the behavior continues. They don't even realize they're allowed to stay hurt. They don't know that forgiveness should be earned, not given freely to people who keep breaking them. They think forgiving makes them strong, but it's making them weak. There's a difference between forgiveness and enabling. Forgiving someone who's genuinely remorseful and working to change, that's strength. But forgiving someone who apologizes just to keep you around, who repeats the same behavior, who never actually respects you, that's not strength, that's fear. And every time they forgive without boundaries, they teach people that hurting them has no consequences. They're not being compassionate. They're training others to disrespect them. They use forgiveness to avoid dealing with their own pain. Forgiveness can be a form of avoidance. If you forgive quickly, you don't have to sit with the hurt. You don't have to process the betrayal. You don't have to face how deeply someone damaged you, so they rush through it. They say it's fine before they've even allowed themselves to feel how not fine it is. And that unprocessed pain doesn't disappear. It builds. It turns into resentment, anxiety, or a deep belief that they're not worth protecting. Because every time they forgive without healing, they abandon themselves a little more. Here's what people who forgive too easily need to hear. Forgiveness is not the same as reconciliation. You can forgive someone and still walk away. You can release the anger without letting them back into your life. You can heal without giving them another chance. Because forgiveness is for you, not for them. And if someone keeps hurting you, keeps disrespecting you, keeps taking advantage of your kindness, forgiving them isn't compassion. It's self-betrayal. You deserve people who don't need to be forgiven every other week. You deserve consistency, respect, and love that doesn't come with constant apologies. And until you believe that, you'll keep forgiving people who don't deserve it. If you want to understand the psychology behind why people betray themselves for others, subscribe now. Because on this channel, we're teaching people to stop being kind to everyone except themselves.